Now we will discuss about chemical properties of metals. First property is what happens when metals are burned in air. See, all metals combine with oxygen. When they are burned in air, they combine with oxygen to form metal oxide. So when metal burn in air, they combine with oxygen and form metal oxide. Example, when potassium is burned in air, it will combine with oxygen and will form potassium oxide K2O. To balance this, we can write here 2 oxygen, now potassium is 4. With this, we can see example, sodium metal forms sodium oxide when react with oxygen. In this, lithium, sodium, potassium, cesium are the alkali metals which form alkali, that is strong base when reacts with water. So these alkali metals reacts vigorously with oxygen. They can react with the atmospheric oxygen, means when we keep them open in the air, it can react with the oxygen present in the air and can form oxide, metal oxide, and this reaction is so vigorous that they catch fire if kept it open, and hence, as I told you, to protect them and to prevent accidental fires, the sodium, potassium, lithium are kept immersed in kerosene, because when they react with oxygen, it reacts vigorously. The reaction is exothermic reaction and it can catch the fire. Also, here we can see reaction of copper. Copper does not react with oxygen at room temperature, but when burned in air, it gives oxide. So when we will burn copper, we can observe the black coating on it. That black color coating is of copper oxide. Cu plus O2 gives CuO, so copper oxide. Similarly, aluminium forms aluminium oxide. Silver, gold, platinum do not combine with oxygen of air even at high temperature. So, silver, gold, platinum, these are noble metals and they do not combine with the oxygen even at high temperature. They are least reactive metals. We learn in chapter 2, metal oxides are basic in nature. But some metal oxides such as aluminium oxide, zinc oxide react with both acids as well as bases. So we learn that the metal oxides are basic in nature, but aluminium oxide, zinc oxide, these two oxides are called as amphoteric oxides because these oxides can react with acids also and bases also to form salt and water. It reacts with bases like acid and reacts with acids like bases, and so they are called as amphoteric oxides. We can see here the aluminium oxide. It can react with HCl to form aluminium chloride and water. So here this aluminium oxide acts as a base with acid. Also it can react with base. Here sodium hydroxide is base, and in this reaction this aluminium oxide is reacting as acid and form sodium aluminate, which is a salt and water. Most metal oxides are insoluble in water, but some of these dissolve in water to form alkalis. So sodium oxide, potassium oxide dissolve in water to produce alkalis. So this sodium oxide, potassium oxide, lithium oxide, these can dissolve in water, and so these are called as alkali metal oxides. All these metals which react with oxygen do not react at the same rate. Rate of reaction is different for different metals, such as potassium, sodium reacts vigorously, as I told, that they can catch the fire if kept in open, and hence to protect them, to prevent accident, we keep them immersed in kerosene oil. At ordinary temperature, the surface of metals such as magnesium, aluminum, zinc, lead are covered with thin layer of oxide. We learn in the activity of magnesium ribbon that before burning we have to clean that magnesium ribbon with the sandpaper, because the layer of magnesium oxide is formed on the magnesium ribbon. So at ordinary temperature, metals such as aluminum, magnesium, zinc, lead can react with the oxygen and form oxides of metal. The protective oxide layer prevents the metal from further oxidation, and once this protective layer is formed, the lower layers of metal cannot get oxidized. Iron does not burn on heating, but iron filings burn vigorously when sprinkled in the flame of the burner. Copper does not burn, but the hot metal is covered with black colored layer of copper oxide. Silver and gold do not react with oxygen even at high temperature. Now see, do you know anodizing? We can see kadhais and cookers at our home which are made up of aluminium, and it is very shiny. See, these utensils are anodized. What is anodizing? It is a process of forming thick oxide layer of aluminium. So on the utensils or on the aluminium articles, a thick layer of aluminium oxide is given by the process of electrolysis. And why? Because that thick layer of aluminium oxide can prevent the oxidation of aluminium. See, the aluminium develops a thin oxide layer when exposed to air. This aluminium oxide coat makes it resistant to further corrosion. So to avoid corrosion of aluminium, the aluminium oxide layer is playing very important role. The resistance can be improved further by making oxide layer thicker, and so in such iron articles purposely we are coating that articles with the aluminium oxide layer to prevent corrosion of that aluminium utensil. During anodizing, a clean aluminium article is made the anode and is electrolyzed with dilute sulfuric acid. The oxygen gas evolved at anode reacts with aluminium to make thicker protective oxide layer. This oxide layer can be dyed easily to give aluminium articles an attractive finishing, and that oxide layer is dyed so it appears very shiny. So anodizing is what? Purposely we are protecting that, purposely we are giving thick coating of aluminium oxide to avoid corrosion. Next is what happens when metals react with water. See, metals react with water and produce metal oxide and hydrogen gas. So this is the chemical property of metal, that metal reacts with water and form metal oxide and hydrogen gas. Now some metals such as metal oxides which are soluble in water dissolve in it to further form metal hydroxide, but all metals do not react with water. Now see, metal oxides such as alkali metal oxides which get dissolved in water, they form metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So it will form metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Metals like potassium and sodium reacts violently with cold water. So as these potassium and sodium are highly reactive metals, they react very vigorously with cold water. In case of sodium and potassium, the reaction is so violent and exothermic that the evolved hydrogen immediately catches the fire. And this reaction is highly exothermic reaction. So due to that heat, in this reaction potassium hydroxide is formed, sodium hydroxide forms, with that hydrogen gas is also formed, and as this reaction is highly exothermic reaction, this hydrogen can catch the fire. The reaction of calcium with water is less violent. The heat evolved is not sufficient for the hydrogen to catch fire. So reaction of calcium with water, Ca plus H2O, gives calcium hydroxide CaOH twice. This reaction is also violent but less as compared to sodium and potassium. So here also heat get evolved, but that heat is not sufficient to catch the fire to hydrogen. Next is calcium starts floating because the bubbles of hydrogen gas formed stick to the surface of metal. Calcium and magnesium, when reacts with water, they float on water surface because the hydrogen which evolve in this reaction, that bubbles of hydrogen get stick to the calcium, to the magnesium, and due to that metal floats on the surface of water. Magnesium does not react with cold water. So here sodium, potassium, calcium reacts with cold water, but magnesium cannot react with cold water. It reacts with hot water to form magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen. It also starts floating due to the bubbles of hydrogen gas sticking to its surface. So as I told, calcium and magnesium floats on the surface of water because the bubbles of hydrogen stick to the metal and it floats. Metals like aluminum, iron, zinc do not react either with cold or hot water, but they react with the steam to form metal oxide and hydrogen. So only the metals which are highly reactive can react violently and form metal hydroxide, or the metal oxides which are soluble in water, which get dissolved in water, forms metal hydroxide. Iron also reacts with water. Here water means steam. So aluminum reacts with the steam and form aluminum oxide and hydrogen gas. Iron, zinc reacts with the steam and form oxides of metal and hydrogen gas. Lead, copper, silver and gold do not react with water at all. So the metals which are present below hydrogen in reactivity series, which I told you in lesson number 1, those metal will not react with the water. They will not show reaction with the steam, with hot or cold water. Next is what happens when metal reacts with acid. This property of metal you learn in acid, bases and salt also. So here when metal reacts with dilute acid, it forms salt and hydrogen gas. We can take example such as when magnesium reacts with dilute sulfuric acid H2SO4, it will form magnesium sulfate MgSO4 plus H2 hydrogen gas. We can take another example such as when zinc reacts with HCl, it forms zinc chloride ZnCl2 plus hydrogen gas. We can write here 2 to balance the equation. So whenever metal reacts with dilute acid, it forms salt and hydrogen gas. But hydrogen gas does not evolve when metal reacts with nitric acid. So when metal reacts with nitric acid HNO3, it does not form hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas does not evolve when metal reacts with nitric acid. But there are only 2 metals which can evolve hydrogen when reacts with nitric acid, and those are magnesium and manganese. So magnesium and manganese are the 2 metals which can react with dilute nitric acid. See, this dilute nitric acid is very dilute. So it is just 1% dilute solution of nitric acid. So highly dilute nitric acid can react with magnesium to form hydrogen gas. It will give magnesium nitrate MgNO3 twice plus H2. So we can write here 2 mg. And same manganese also react with nitric acid, very dilute nitric acid, to evolve hydrogen. Now what happen for rest of the metals? See, whenever nitric acid reacts with other metals, as this nitric acid is strong oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent means which provides oxygen. So this HNO3 nitric acid is oxidizing agent. It oxidizes the hydrogen produced to water and itself get reduced to any nitrogen oxide such as nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, nitrogen dioxide. And so hydrogen gas is not evolved when metal reacts with nitric acid because it is a strong oxidizing agent. And this reaction also hydrogen get evolved, and that hydrogen, this HNO3, provides oxygen and forms that hydrogen into the water, or it provides oxygen to hydrogen and forms water. So this reaction of acid with the metal, most of the reactions are exothermic reaction, and the rate of reaction is different with every metal, such as the reaction is very vigorous in case of calcium, magnesium, and the reactivity decreases as we move to aluminium, zinc, iron. Copper does not react with the acid to form salt and hydrogen gas because copper is less reactive than the hydrogen, and in acid displacement of hydrogen takes place, and as copper is less reactive than hydrogen, it cannot displace hydrogen from the acid. Mercury, silver, gold do not react with the acid. Next is, how do metals react with solution of other metal salts? See, this is displacement reaction. In this reaction, more reactive metal can displaces less reactive metal from their salt solution or in the molten form. So here we can see metal A reacts with salt solution of B, and it can form salt solution of A plus metal B. But what is the condition? That here more reactive metal can displaces the less reactive metal. For example, when iron reacts with copper sulfate, CuSO4. So here iron is more reactive than the copper. So it will displace this copper and will form FeSO4, iron sulfate plus copper metal will get deposit. Next is when aluminium reacts with copper sulfate, CuSO4. Again aluminium is more reactive, so it will displace that copper from copper sulfate solution and will form aluminium sulfate, Al2SO4 thrice plus Cu. But in case of silver and copper sulfate, so when silver reacts with CuSO4, there will be no reaction because this copper is more reactive than the silver. So silver is not able to displace copper, and so the reaction will not take place. So this is the fourth property of metals, that when metal reacts with solution of other metal salts, if the metal is more reactive, then it can displaces the less reactive metal from its salt solution. Now see the reactivity series. Reactivity series is the list of metals arranged in the order of their decreasing reactivity. We can see in this table 3.2. This is the reactivity series, which is relative reactivities of metal, and in these metals are arranged in the decreasing order of their reactivity, means as we move from top to bottom the reactivity decreases. And so the metals such as potassium, sodium, calcium are most reactive metals. Then as we go down, the reactivity decreases, and here silver, gold, platinum are the least reactive metals. So we can say it is the order of reacting of metals. Reactivity of element decreases on moving from top to bottom in the series. Now we will discuss about how do metals and non-metals react. Students, in 9th we learn about octet theory. Elements show reactivity to complete their octet. So we learn that every element shows reactivity to complete their valence shell or to complete the electrons in their valence shell. And if they are having total number of electrons in their valence shell, then they are inert metal. Those are non-reactive metals. So each and every element, that may be metal, that may be non-metal, shows reactivity to complete their electronic configuration, to complete their octet. This we learn in 9th. So to obtain stable electronic configuration, these elements, they either loses the electron or gains the electron, or sometimes they share electron to become stable. Noble gases such as helium, neon, argon, krypton are having completely filled valence shell. So they are called as inert or noble elements. So the reactivity of element is the tendency of element to attain a completely filled valence shell. So we can say that reactivity is what? It is a tendency of element, that may be metal or non-metal, to attain a completely filled valence shell. Here in table 3.3, in that some are noble gases, some are metals and some are non-metals. See, sodium. In this we will see sodium. The atomic number of sodium is 12 and its electronic configuration is 281. 2 in K shell, 8 in L shell and 1 in M shell. So according to octet rule, it should have 8 electrons in its valence shell, and for this the sodium will lose 1 electron. So sodium having electronic configuration 281. To complete the octet, it can lose 1 electron and it can form Na plus 28. How? See, sodium has 1 electron in valence shell. If it loses 1 electron from M shell, then L shell become outermost shell and has stable octet, that is completely filled valence shell. Now nucleus of this sodium will have 11 protons, but the number of electrons will be 10 only. So here one positive charge is there, and so it will form Na plus. This we learn in 9th. Nucleus of sodium will have 11 protons and number of electrons has become 10. So there is one net positive charge giving as Na plus cation. So it will form cation, that is Na plus. Now see chlorine. On the other hand, we can see chlorine. Atomic number 17 and electronic configuration 287. So as it is having 7 electrons in the outermost shell, it can gain 1 electron and can complete its valence shell, can complete its octet. So it requires 1 electron to complete octet. If sodium reacts with chlorine, the electron lost by sodium could be taken up by chlorine, and after gaining 1 electron, the number of protons in the nucleus of chlorine. So in the nucleus, number of protons will be 17. So 17 protons, but the number of electrons will be 18. And so here one negative charge a net negative charge is there forming Cl minus anion. So negatively charged chlorine ion will get formed. We called it as anion. As these are oppositely charged, so we get Na plus and Cl minus. As these two ions are oppositely charged, and we know that there is attraction in the opposite charges. These two ions will attract each other and held by strong electrostatic force of attraction to exist as NaCl, and it become NaCl, sodium chloride. As the charges are balanced, it is neutral in nature. So sodium does not exist as molecule but form due to transfer of electrons. Metal will give one electron and non-metal will accept that electron. So sodium will lose one electron, chlorine will gain that electron, and due to that it will form compound. That compound is called as ionic compound. So the compounds formed by transfer of electrons from metal to non-metal are known as ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds. So these compounds are also called as electrovalent compounds. In this, metal get positive charge and non-metal get negative charge. We can see here sodium is metal, so Na plus, chlorine is non-metal, Cl minus. And so we can say bond formed between positive and negative ion is called as ionic bond. So these are ions actually. This is positive ions, this is negative ion, and bond formed between positive and negative ion is called as ionic bond. So here one positive charge and one negative charge. So these ionic compounds are electrically neutral because charges are always balanced in ionic compound. We will see one more example of formation of one more ionic compound, that is magnesium chloride. Here see the electronic configuration of magnesium. Atomic number is 12. So the electronic configuration is 282. Magnesium can lose 2 electrons. So it can lose 2 electrons. And chlorine having electronic configuration 287, it can gain 1 electron. So to form the bond, to form the ionic bond, we will require 2 chlorine atoms, because magnesium will lose 2 electrons and chlorine can take only 1 electron. So we required one more chlorine to gain these 2 electrons which are lost by magnesium. Mg plus Cl minus. So it will form MgCl2. MgCl2, magnesium chloride. Here we can see charges are balanced. One magnesium having 2 positive charge and 2 chlorine is having 2 negative charge. And so ionic compounds are electrically neutral. Now see the properties of ionic compounds. Physical state. Ionic compounds are solid and are somewhat hard because of strong force of attraction between the positive and negative ions. So these ionic compounds are hard because of strong force of attraction, strong electrostatic force of attraction. These compounds are generally brittle and break down into pieces when pressure is applied. Melting and boiling point. These ionic compounds are having high melting and boiling point because of strong force of attraction, because the considerable amount of energy is required to break that strong inter-ionic attraction. So to break that ionic bond, a large amount of energy is required, and so these ionic compounds are having high melting and boiling point. Solubility. Electrovalent compounds are generally soluble in water. So these compounds are soluble in water but insoluble in solvents such as kerosene, petrol, alcohol, etc. Conduction of electricity. As the conduction of electricity through a solution involves the movement of charged particles. As we know that current can be passed whenever there will be free ions or free electrons. In case of ionic compounds, a solution of ionic compound in water contain ions. So when we have prepared or we will prepare the solution, aqueous solution, then current can be passed through the ionic compound solution, because ionic compound in water contains ions which move to the opposite electrodes. Positive ions will move to the negative electrode, negative ions will move to the positive electrode when electricity is passed through the solution. Ionic compounds in solid state do not conduct electricity because the movement of ions in the solid state is not possible. So remember, they can conduct electricity only in aqueous state or in the molten state. So when aqueous solution is there, then and in molten state only current can be passed through the ionic compounds, because in molten state the electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions is less, because they can overcome the strong force of attraction because of heat energy. So due to heat energy their force of attraction become less and the ions can overcome from that strong force of attraction, and thus ions can move freely and conduct electricity. Student, hope you understood chemical properties and how metal and non-metal reacts with each other to form ionic compounds. Thank you and have a nice day.